So you're thinking about having a home birth. Maybe the hospital is not a space that you associate with comfort, and it's one that you associate with sickness and illness, or maybe even other more morbid things. And the hospital just seems like not a place you want to have your baby. Or maybe you see the flaws in the healthcare system, in the hospital procedures, and the lack of evidence-based practices, and you're deciding to look at having a home birth. Maybe you have 1 million questions going through your mind and you don't even know where to start, or if you can have a home birth, or if home birth is even right for you. Or maybe you just want to feel validated in your decision to try for a home birth. Either way, you've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm a mom of 2 boys, a labor and birth doula, and a childbirth educator. I am passionate about helping women and families birth their babies fearlessly. So let's get into this. Congratulations on taking a couple of the first steps to looking at whether home birth is good for you or not. I'm so excited that you're here watching this video right now. We're gonna get into these 7 things that I think are essential to having a home birth or an out of hospital birth. So when I say home birth, I want to make note that all 7 of these steps, or all 7 of these vital, essential things, also have to do with just out of hospital birth in general. And if you are a low risk pregnant woman, and there seems to be no complications or no need for crazy medical interventions in your pregnancy and labor and birth of your baby, then home birth or out of hospital birth may just be the thing for you. Birth is a natural and physiological experience. Your body knows what to do and how to birth your baby, and your baby knows how to be born. So it makes sense to give birth somewhere that you feel safe, comfortable, empowered, loved, and protected. So if that's home or a birth center, then amazing. Deciding to have a home birth can have a lot of different emotions come up between you, your partner, and even other people whose opinions maybe matter a lot to you. There are a few things I just want you to know. 1, you are strong, and if you decide to have a home birth, that is the best decision for you, and that's amazing. You need to stick to that. You need to feel confident in that decision, and I totally believe that you can do it. Your desire to have a home birth is amazing and totally valid. Don't let anyone tell you that it is not. There is so much support that says that home birth can be totally safe for a low risk pregnancy. You are capable of anything you put your mind to, and no one else's opinions matter. When deciding to have a home birth, often people can share their fears or thoughts with you that maybe feel a little scary, or thoughts that you didn't think about. One thing I want to do right now is put other people's opinions to rest. Your body is meant to give birth. So having a home birth or an out of hospital birth can be totally safe if done with a proper provider and if you are taken care of with a low risk pregnancy. So these 7 things that I'm sharing with you right now, I think are essential to having an out of hospital birth, and especially a home birth. I am super blessed to say that the last baby that I had was an out of hospital birth. I gave birth at a birthing center here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. But my first baby was a hospital transfer. So I tried for a home birth and ended up transferring to the hospital during transition because I was saying that I wanted the epidural, and I didn't prepare enough for the home birth. So a lot of these tips and tricks that I'm sharing with you are actually coming from both of my experiences and the experiences of a ton of women who've had successful home births and who have had to transfer in as well. So get out your notepad and get out your pen and take some notes here to go through the next 7 things that I suggest you definitely do or work on before deciding to have a home birth. So the first thing to really look at if you decide to have a home birth is your practitioner. So in Alberta, Canada, which is where I am currently, you actually have to be under the care of a midwife in order to have a home birth or out of hospital birth at like a birth center. So there is no obstetrician or gynecologist who will actually do out of hospital deliveries. So you have to decide to go with a midwife. That being said, it's a pretty easy process, but if that's something that you're interested in doing, definitely look into it early, as especially in Alberta, the spots with midwives fill up quite quickly. If you aren't in Alberta, Canada, that's okay. I highly encourage you to look into the rules, regulations, policies, and procedures of the healthcare system that you live in. So whether you need a midwife to do a home birth, or if you know that there are OBGYNs that do home births in your area, great. Make sure that you are with them so that you can have their care along the way before baby comes. The second thing that I really, really want to stress here is you need to hire your birth team right away, okay? So whether you're hiring a doula or a photographer, or you're renting a birth pool to maybe have a water birth, these are things that you should not wait the last minute to book and pay for their services. As a lot of women who want to have home births and maybe have done it multiple times will be hiring their doulas and their photographers pretty much as soon as they find out. So doulas and photographers definitely fill up their spaces months and months and months out. So it's good once you find out, if you decide, yeah, I want a birth photographer, to get looking, get booking, and definitely reserve them for the time in which your due date is in. The other thing to really consider with hiring your birth team early is that if a doula that you love offers things during their pregnancy in one of their packages, then it's good to kind of hire them before, the month leading up to you having baby. So as an example, I, in my doula services, offer a couple prenatal calls and up to 8 months of continuous support that ends 72 hours after baby is born. So I say you can hire me literally from peeing on that stick and getting a positive, and I will be serving with you right up until 72 hours after the birth of your baby. The reason for that is because often women have a lot of questions, or maybe don't want to go straight to their care provider with thoughts that they don't think are like dire situations. So things like, hey, my hips are uncomfortable. I wonder if there's someone I can talk to who knows things that I can do. That would be a doula, right? Or maybe, you really want to work on relaxation practices. Working with your doula before birth and getting her to work with you, coach you through relaxation practices and so on can be super beneficial to having a home birth. Okay, number 3 is work on your mindset. Mindset can be the biggest asset to your birth experience or the biggest pain in your booty, okay? You want to train your brain to work with your body, not against it. Some of that might look like learning relaxation methods. And become your biggest cheerleader. Get it so that your brain can, in times of pain, relax your body. And it says, okay, I'm tensing my shoulders. I need to release the tension in my shoulders. Rather than your brain saying, this is so hard, this is scary, right? Working on your mindset to say, my body can do this. I need to release the tension, right? Mindset can be a huge, huge, huge contributor to pain in birth. And the last part of mindset is talk through your fears and your expectations and the excitement of labor with your partner and or your doula if you've hired one. Don't let fear live in the dark. In the dark, fear festers and becomes this big thing. Fear cannot live in the light. So when you speak those fears, then they become a little less scary, and you're able to maybe do some research into the evidence around the fear that you have, or the intervention that has to occur for your fear to come true, kind of thing. So definitely talk about them. Bring them up with your doula, bring them up with your care provider, bring them up with your partner. It's the best thing you can do for your brain. In order to have a successful home birth, another thing you need to do is plan. There's tons of women who accidentally have a home birth by, not leaving to get to the hospital in time. But if you are wanting to have a planned home birth, so you're going with the midwife, you're hiring the doula, if that's something you decide to do, and you're gonna have an at-home water birth, let's say, there's a lot of things that you actually need to plan to have your birth desires come to fruition. A prepared mind allows for a relaxed body, which is really important in trying to do an unmedicated natural birth at home or outside of the hospital. It's really good to note that at home, there's not going to be the same medication or medical relief to pain as there would be in the hospital. And often that's why women decide to try for a home birth, is because they want to do it unmedicated. And let me tell you, women who are able to do that and who choose to do that, you have got to have a strong head on your shoulders, and you are pretty freaking fantastic. But planning is really important, okay? To make sure that your brain is where you want it to be going into labor. One thing to think about is, where do you plan on giving birth to your baby? Do you plan on just having them on your bed? Do you plan on having a water birth in your bathtub? Or do you want to rent out or buy a birth pool? Are you going to give birth sitting on a toilet? Like, what is your plan? Obviously, plans change, but if you want a water birth but don't plan on filling the bathtub, or don't plan on renting a birthing pool, then you probably won't end up with a water birth. I think that's fair to say, right? The next thing to do, like I said, is look at pain relief options. So at home, the best pain relief is going to be non-medical. So things like renting a TENS machine, getting a birth ball, or maybe renting a peanut ball or a birthing stool. Using essential oils or aromatherapy if that's something that you enjoy doing. Looking at hiring a doula for counter pressure, acupressure, massage, and the physical hands-on pain relief, and so on. Helping your partner learn massage techniques if you decide to not go with a doula. There's so many pain relief options out there for a non-medicated birth that often you just have to do some research. So for me, with my first birth, when I tried to do it at home, I went from like absolutely nothing to give me the epidural, and we were transferring to the hospital. Whereas with my second birth, I knew, okay, I can use lavender essential oil to help calm me down. I can jump into the shower and use the like heat from the shower water to like relax my muscles. I can jump on the toilet or lay on a bed with a peanut ball between my legs. I can sit on my birth bowl. Like, I had so many options to try before I knew that I would be like, okay, give me the epidural. And I can proudly say that in my second birth, I didn't even ask for the epidural or cry out saying, give me the epidural, because I had had such a fantastic plan of all the pain relief things that I was okay with going into my out of hospital birth. Another thing really to plan for is, do you have other children? Now, if this is your first home birth, feel free to skip ahead because you definitely don't need to think about this. But if you maybe had a hospital birth with your first and you're now on your second or third baby and you're wanting to have an out of hospital birth, it's really important to think about, okay, where is my child going? Are they going to be with me? Do I have childcare? Do I need to call someone to pick them up when I go into labor? Like, what is my plan around that? Because often we see women's bodies slowing down contractions if there is a need of another child who needs mom. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes women can totally keep laboring and everything with another child there. But typically what can happen is our body will be like, nope, I can't do this right now. My baby needs me. My other baby needs me, right? So that's just something to kind of consider. like I said, some women, that's not an issue and they can give birth and have their children there. For me, I knew that that was not really an option. I went into labor really, really late at night and my son woke up at like 1 a.m. and I had just called my childcare to come. And he was so worried because I was, doing my deep breathing on my birth ball. And he was like looking at me, like just being like, are you okay? Like, what's going on with mom? So that stressed me out a little bit, which definitely messed up my mind. But I had childcare come and pick him up. And it was, my labor picked up really fast. And I had a baby like less than 6 hours later. So definitely that's something to plan. Okay. Number 5 is learn. Become the biggest advocate for what you want and understand how labor progresses, what the physiological science is behind labor and birth, how the baby moves, how your pelvis opens, what contractions do, how Braxton and Hicks differ than contractions. Learn it all, okay? And for some people, that'll be super overwhelming. So only learn what it is that fascinates you about birth. But for those of you out there who are like, no, I need to know everything, do it. Learn everything. And honestly, too, I would say that if you're planning for a home birth, it's probably because you're really interested in doing it unmedicated. And probably because you don't want to stick to the policies and procedures and just being another patient at the hospital. So learn about birth. Learn what your body's going to do. Become the most knowledgeable person on that. So that when certain things are suggested, you can actually say, okay, why is that being suggested? That's not evidence-based, or so on. Learn about interventions. Yes, even at home or an out-of-hospital delivery, there can be interventions that are suggested by your care provider. Things like artificial rupture of membranes and episiotomies are really good examples of interventions that could happen at home or at an out-of-hospital birth. Another great thing is to learn evidence-based practices and evidence-based care. If you don't know where to start, chat with your doula about it. Ask her questions, and she can look up Evidence-Based Birth, which is a phenomenal podcast website, all the stuff that talks about the actual evidence around policies, procedures, and procedural practices, so that you can go into it empowered. You can be empowered in your birth. And then, like I was saying before, learn about those non-medical pain relief options like your TENS machine, your aromatherapy, using water for pain, breathing, counter pressure, acupressure, massage, all the things. Learn about non-medical options and get your partner to. Get your partner to read The Birth Partner. Get your partner to read Ina May's Guide to Childbirth and become educated on it so that you can go into it super educated and informed. I don't think you'll ever really be ready for childbirth, but you can go into it educated, informed, and therefore empowered. And that is the best thing you can do for yourself going into your first home birth. The next thing, and I just realized it's actually only 6 things. The last thing is believe. Believe that you can do it. Believe in your body. Believe in your baby. You can absolutely have a home birth. You are capable of it. If you are thinking this seems, a little intimidating, that's okay. Do some research, look it up, talk to people who've had successful home births, and go for it. Anyone can go to the hospital and have a baby, but deciding you want to try for a home birth is a really beautiful, empowering thing. And especially if you're a low risk mama, who's to stop you? You and your baby know what you're doing, and your body is designed to give birth to this baby. So congratulations so much on having a baby and just getting so excited to welcome them into the world. If you liked this video, make sure that you subscribe and hit that little like button and that notification bell to get notified of any other videos that I put out there. And I hope that you go into your birth experience feeling empowered and fearless. Thanks, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.